All to the dollars and cents, making the financial case for green cleaning webinar. We're excited you all could join us and hope that you enjoyed today's webinar. My name is Alex Scheibel, and I'm the writer and policy analyst at Healthy Schools Campaign, which is the organization that's hosting today's webinar. So we'll tell you a little bit more about ourselves in a couple minutes, but I first just want to go over a few quick basic logistics for today's webinar. So first, we want to recognize our sponsor for this webinar, Procter & Gamble Professional. We really appreciate their support and helping make this webinar possible. So thank you to Procter & Gamble Professional. And this webinar is part of a series of green cleaning webinars that Healthy Schools Campaign is hosting this summer, and we have one more remaining after this, which is process cleaning for healthy schools. And in addition, we'll be doing a special webinar later on that will be for the Green Clean Awards, which is an award competition that's hosted by American Schools and University Magazine, the Green Clean Network, and Healthy Schools Campaign. And we'll be doing a webinar on that in August, which will give participants a chance to learn about the application and how to complete the application. And we'd also love for you to join us in the ongoing conversation that's taking place around these webinars. If you have more questions after the webinar or want to follow the conversation, you can use this hashtag to read more on Twitter, and feel free to send in your questions after we finish today's webinar. And so today we'll be running for about an hour, and we'll be posting a recording of the webinar on our website after today, and we will send out an email following the webinar, which will include information with a link to where you can view those recordings and the presentations from today. And also, if you could take a quick minute, there will be a survey at the end of this webinar, and we'd love to hear your feedback. We'll also be saving about 15 minutes at the end of the webinar for a question and answer session with our speakers. And you can ask questions in two ways. You can type a question into the questions box and send it in. Feel free to do that throughout the webinar. Or you can save your questions until those last 15 minutes at the end, and you can virtually raise your hand using the control panel on your computer, and then we will unmute your phone and you can ask your question over the phone. So we have a great lineup of speakers today. We have Mark Bishop, Healthy Schools Campaign's Vice President of Policy and Communications. Mike Jones is joining us from Columbia Public School District, and Pat Pizzo is joining us from East Meadow Union School District. And our school speakers, Pat and Mike, are winners of the 2010 Green Clean Award. And so we'd like to congratulate both of them and encourage anybody who's interested in applying to apply for this year. And the 2011 application went up earlier this summer. And again, we'll be doing that webinar later in August to review that application. So thanks again for joining us. And now I'd like to turn it over to Mark Bishop, who's going to be providing us with our introduction.
All right, thank you so much, Alex. Real quickly before I start, I want to talk a little bit about Healthy Schools Campaign. We are a not-for-profit organization. We're located in Chicago, but we have programs that are local and national in scope, all around helping schools improve the school learning environment. And the two program areas we work on are nutrition, food and fitness, and on the other side we work on environmental health. And green cleaning is really a pillar of our environmental health work. So our our green cleaning program, I like to list out three different areas around it because it all started with our work in the Chicago Public Schools. And I say that to make sure that people understand that when we talk about green cleaning, we're talking about our experiences of implementing green cleaning programs along with the third largest school district in the country. The other thing is we work very closely on promoting state policy to encourage wider adoption of green cleaning programs because we recognize that education policy and green cleaning in particular, there's a really strong connection to state policy and how it gets rolled out. And finally, we want to make sure that at a broad national level that there is support, there are national and consistent standards of how we view green cleaning, and that there's a broad network of people that are understanding and that support and will work towards implementation of green cleaning. So our programs are local, state, and national in scope. And our program is really based around our publication that was first put out in 2006, and that's our Quick and Easy Guide to Green Cleaning in Schools. And this is not just a single publication, but it really is a whole collection of information that is all about education and engagement with school stakeholders. It includes our website, a quarterly newsletter, ongoing promotions, webinars, speaking engagement, as well as a multimedia CD that we put out. It's, of course, available for free to schools. And this guide has a host of national participating organizations that partner with us to help get the word out about the importance of green cleaning to the health, to the environment, and to the education of our nation's children. So what is green cleaning? Green cleaning is protecting health without harming the environment. And this is a very important definition to consider because of two things. We clean to protect health. Green cleaning then takes it one step further and talks about not harming the environment. And that's the environment, both the indoor environment and the outdoor environment. And that's particularly important because we can never forget that our first priority is to protect the health of our children. And that's the number one thing that we want to do when we're delivering cleaning programs for our kids. Just so you know, we like to talk about where does green come from, because green can be a very amorphous concept, but there actually is a very clear definition. And in Presidential Executive Order 13423, it's defined as products and services that reduce the health and environmental impacts compared to similar products and services used for the same purpose. And that's also a very important definition because the reality is we have to make sure that we are providing services and products that do the minimum, do the same quality of work as what we're replacing. Because we are not going to sacrifice quality, we are not going to sacrifice cleanliness, and we're not going to sacrifice the health of our students. But why do we care about green cleaning? We like to point out 5 areas, or 5 points, and by no means are these the only 5 points. But number one is green cleaning helps students stay healthy and learn. Green cleaning is about making sure we have a helpful environment, that we are able to keep students and teachers in the classroom, making sure we have continuity of education, making sure we have a learning environment where kids can succeed. And that's what green cleaning ultimately is about. Second, it helps protect the health of custodial staff. And we want to make sure that the staff that are the first primary line of defense of protecting the health of our kids, and also are the primary line of exposures for working with the chemicals in a cleaning program, that they are healthy and they have a safe work environment. Third, increasing the lifespan of our facilities. Green cleaning programs make sure we are using the least toxic, least acidic, least abrasive materials possible, so that we not only does it protect the environment, but make sure it's protecting the coatings, the finishes, and the building that we all live in, or that we all work in or visit on a daily basis. And because when we're talking about the investments that we make as a society, we want to make sure that we are making sure that these buildings last as long as they can. Fourth, not least, is preserving the environment, and because janitorial services have a huge impact on the environment by the chemicals that they use, the water, the energy, and the paper that is being used. And if we can take steps to reduce this footprint and reduce these impacts on the environment, we can have a huge positive impact on the earth. And finally, and this is more to the point of today, fiscal responsibility. Ultimately, a green cleaning program is all about sustainability, but not just about sustainability for the earth, the sustainability of our budgets. And when you hear our next two speakers, they are going to be talking all about why they are moving towards why they have moved towards green cleaning programs. And ultimately, a big piece of it is because they felt like they had to be responsible with the dollars they were saving and save as many dollars as possible. So a little bit about green cleaning and costs associated with it. I like just to bring up the question of what does it mean to be a leader? Or what does it mean to be on the cutting edge, I would say. And if you think about technology and think about being on the cutting edge, and you think of the person who was the first person to buy a Kindle or an iPad or whatever the latest and greatest technology may be, you think about the person who is spending an extra premium of their dollars to be on the cutting edge. Now, this analogy, however, breaks down completely when you talk about green cleaning. The next two speakers are clearly on the cutting edge of green cleaning programs, but you will hear from them is that the reality is being on the cutting edge of green cleaning is not about paying premiums of dollars. It's about being responsible with your dollars and ultimately being more effective with limited resources that we have. So I'll talk a little bit about some of the misperceptions of green cleaning before our speakers go into the specifics. But very broadly, let me talk about 3 misperceptions that I hear commonly. And the first one is that green chemicals cost more. The second one is that there's really no association between equipment purchases and green cleaning because it's all about the chemicals. And the third one is that it's going to be more expensive for my labor. And the rationale for that is because green chemicals just don't work. So ultimately, it will take more labor, and it will be harder for us to accomplish a green building. However, these are all misperceptions, and none of these are true. A little bit about the reality. Reality of green chemicals. Chemical purchases are anywhere from 3 to 5% of an overall budget of a cleaning program. So the reality is, even if you do have, even if costs do increase, the percentage-wise, it's going to be a very small portion of the budget. However, that's not even the case, because moving towards a green cleaning program is going to have a number of beneficial effects on your budget. The first one is looking at inventories. Reducing inventories. Green programs can take you for a traditional program of 20 to 30 different chemicals that are being used to clean a facility, to as few as 2, 3, or 5 cleaning chemicals for the entire building. So you will be able to reduce inventory. Second, by moving away from ready-to-use products and moving towards concentrated, that can dramatically reduce your cost per use. And this is a huge cost savings and something that can ultimately make your labor more efficient as well as cut costs. So ultimately, and you'll hear more details about this, but ultimately when you're looking at chemical purchases, generally speaking, it's a cost-neutral proposition. Some things may cost more, but there are lots of areas where you're going to have savings. And so on average, you're probably going to see a cost-neutral move of moving towards green chemicals, and in many cases, you're going to actually see savings. Next question for the reality of labor. This is the largest part of one's cleaning budget, but it's also the largest area of potential savings. And the savings can be manifested in many different ways. In one way, it's moving towards green chemicals in ways that are actually more effective to use and easier for the particular use. And also, because you're using smaller inventory, you don't have as much management, and you don't have as much going back and forth between trying to identify different chemicals. By using better equipment, we are going to be able to more effectively use the staff that we have so we can get more square footage per labor use. And then finally, through better training, we can use this equipment more efficiently and ultimately create a more effective labor cost or use of our labor. And I think you'll hear something very interesting from one of our speakers is looking at how much we save in labor when we also tie this to energy efficiency and energy savings. So there are a lot of different places where there are cost savings. Let me go for my last slide, and that is looking at equipment. Equipment is an important component of how we think about a green cleaning program. The reality is today's cleaning programs are not the same as the cleaning programs from 10, 15, 20 years ago. And the new technology that is out there, whether it is from microfiber cloths to the to auto scrubbers that are out there, to the ionized water, these are all equipment that will make our labor work better, work smarter. They will cut water, energy, as well as chemical use, and they will ultimately help us provide more effective programs. By purchasing better equipment, we're also looking at equipment that lasts longer and equipment that's more ergonomic. So it's going to be better for the workforce and lead to a workforce that is going to not be sick and not be out as much. So there are tremendous benefits that we see from moving towards a green cleaning program. Now, I am honored to introduce the first of our 2 presenters. The first presenter is Mike Jones from Columbia Public School District in Columbia, Missouri. Before I introduce him, I would like to do a quick poll just to learn a little bit about who is out there today. So let me take our first question and just say, who are you? Who's out there? So let's just take a moment to answer that question while I tell you a little bit about Mike Jones. Mike Jones has been the Assistant Director for Custodial Services for Columbia Public School District for 6 years. As the winner of the Best New Program Award in the 2010 Green Cleaning Awards, Michael has demonstrated how to start and build a successful green cleaning program. In 2 years, Columbia Public Schools have replaced all non-green products, reduced the number of products from 33 to 9, created an over 20% savings in key areas of custodial services and operational budget. And we are so excited to be working with Mike. He also shows how you can really get started quickly and really implement the program within a very short period of time. So a little bit. So it looks like, okay, of our participants, we have 1/3 of it is manufacturers and distributors, 20% parents, teachers, or school administrators, and we have a high percentage of others. We're going to find out who the others are. We will, I promise. Having said that, let me go back to Mike Jones and say, Mike, I'm going to give you the virtual gavel. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mark. With budget dollars, with budgets being reduced or staying stagnant, sustainability in finance is a key issue to make the most of your budget dollars, to identify opportunities for improvement and savings through green products and programs to achieve full financial rewards of green cleaning. A good starting point is to identify the areas of possible waste, duplication of products, overstock, ineffective products and supplies. In addition, you need to identify costs related to MSD ratings of existing cleaning products, safety issues, and risk management. Evaluate the existing costs of all products, cleaning programs, equipment, and employee productivity. You need to remember that existing costs are not just the cost of a product, but the environmental side of hazardous chemicals, indoor air quality, and other in your buildings which affect all parties and environment. Once you have identified your costs, it's time to implement potential changes towards new green products through the bid process and develop new cleaning procedures to achieve the greatest amount of financial savings. There are many layers involved in submitting a detailed bid and proper evaluation of the bid process to make the overall best decision for your district. Accepting green products and cleaning programs is a change in mindset for you, your staff, and all individuals that come in contact with your district. Next slide, please. When we started to identify the issues, the passing of the Missouri Green Cleaning Guidelines helped us to design our programs. These guidelines adopted directives from the Healthy Schools campaign in the area of shared responsibility and promoting stewardship. We use this as a baseline for our purchasing, RFP guidelines, and to help guide our decisions in our green programs. Next slide, please. Sustainability is key to achieving the greatest amount of financial rewards. All paper towels, tissue, soap, cleaning chemical, floor finish, and trash bag consumption is tracked by building location against building square footage, student, and certified teaching staff populations. These items are the largest expense of my operating budget, and if I see spikes in consumption, it normally means a building is wasting resources or not following our green guidelines. We are working to implement procedures that will become part of the teachers' curriculums, teaching our students to further reduce waste. Key parts of teaching will include proper utilization of paper towels and hand soap, stacking of chairs, picking up paper, pencils, crayons, clearing desks and tables at the end of the day to improve custodial productivity and indoor air quality. This is a teamwork issue where communication is necessary to get all parties involved to understand we all have a stake in reducing waste and healthier buildings. Next slide, please. Our budget has remained the same over the past 3 years with approximately 120,000 square feet of building space added. Simple cleaning programs such as spray and rotate, pre-spray in restrooms, carpet, and new floor finish applications uses less resources while achieving better results. These savings and program improvements have given us the ability to absorb the cost of cleaning more square footage. Be mindful of purchasing the cheapest product as it may cost you more in consumption and performance versus overall price. Next slide, please. Spend time to survey your buildings during different times of the day, looking at waste, ineffective equipment, products, or procedures. overstock of product, and other. You would be amazed at what people are willing to discuss in your buildings when asked the right questions. There are numerous teachers and staff members in schools who want to see their buildings go green, but do not know your department's direction because of lack of communication. Next slide, please. When the product does not work or perform to your green specifications, you are wasting public dollars only taking the low bid. Be a responsible custodian of your district's resources, which includes labor and risk management dollars when product selection is the issue. Over 5 years ago, we accepted low bid on over $50,000 worth of custodial equipment. The equipment did not perform as anticipated, and custodians basically refused to operate the equipment. We mishandled our public dollars accepting low bid. Be very specific in developing the bid specifications to allow rejection of lowball bidding that does not meet your needs. We use sections of the Missouri Green Guidelines in our RFP for our green specifications. If you found a product or a piece of equipment that performs at a high level, accept no substitutes. Next slide, please. Paper and soap savings. Reducing total cost was a goal, but we were willing to accept a break-even situation or even a possible increase to make overall improvements in our paper and soap programs. We built into our green RFP that products had to meet the green guidelines, making our main goal for this upgrade to become green in paper, acquire new dispensers that performed, and better quality product offered to staff. This has saved our district 5% across the board and takes into account the increase of 120,000 square feet added over the past 2 years, as well as an increase in manufacturer paper costs over the last 3 years. With the installation of our new spray soap units and green certified product, we have achieved a 34% reduction in the total cost of our soap compared to our prior 4-year average. All old paper towel, tissue, and soap dispensers were removed and taken to a commercial recycling business for disposal. It took about 14 months to complete the entire installation of all new dispensers and to exhaust our previous conventional paper products. Next slide, please. Using low pH products reduces the risk management of our district staff, students, and visitors. We reduce exposures by using an EPA-rated sanitizer that is hydrogen peroxide based and cleans the majority of our surfaces. Used in conjunction with microfiber wipers, we have measured results of reduced exposure to microbes through the use of ATP meter testing. Next slide, please. This change was easy. Cost of 33 plus chemicals to clean. We had 11 products to use to clean a restroom. The amount of cleaning chemicals offered to staff for just our restrooms was impossible to manage, created confusion of our staff, and a waste of financial dollars. Using the no dye and added fragrance preferable product attributes from the green guidelines was key in our green RFP. In addition, chemicals must be run through a metered dispensing unit that is lockable with MSDS ratings no greater than a 1. Diligence in evaluating chemicals includes ready-to-use costs, not just the delivered concentrates. Just because a gallon of cleaning chemical costs more in full strength does not mean the ready-to-use cost is the same and does it perform. Be mindful of comparing apples to apples with chemicals and floor products. Evaluate the MSDS sheets, pH, and make sure the products meet your green guidelines and are properly certified. When we made the decision to change to green chemicals, all building location stock was reduced to a 2 to 3 week supply, crediting the excess stock in buildings back into our warehouse, and we had enough stock to where we quit ordering from our existing vendor. This allowed us to significantly deplete our conventional chemicals and to quickly make our transition to our new cleaning products when our final decision was made to move forward. We brought 20% or 7 buildings online with our new chemicals the first week, installing new dispensers, providing green training, and removing all conventional chemicals from those buildings. All conventional chemicals were divided among our larger secondary schools to use up the old supplies. It worked out that we were able to bring small groups of other buildings online with our new products every 2 months, completed our entire district in a little over a year. Next slide, please. Use your existing vendors you are familiar with, network with other districts, research the internet to identify possible other vendors who may offer products that interest you. You do not want to leave out vendors for your testing, but you can only include so many test sites to not overwhelm the process. Develop a survey for each chemical line and testing site. You will need to personally use the survey to evaluate the products just as the custodians in the test. Select buildings that have a good mix of custodians whom are qualified and will be fair in providing you feedback. Testing on cleaning chemicals can be done in 2 to 3 months, but floor finish and stripper may take up to 6 months. Each testing site needs to understand the green chemicals, what their expectations are, and understand they may not perform similar to your previous conventional products. Next slide, please. We replaced all existing dust cup model vacuum cleaners in 1 year. We were spending around $10,000 per year in maintenance of our vacuums due to design and age. I have no idea what the cost was to our indoor air quality and health of our buildings. We tested 3 manufacturer vacuum cleaners in 3 buildings, rotating over a 2-month period, utilizing our custodial staff to analyze each vacuum on a 10-question rating survey. Existing vacuum cleaners were replaced with new vacuums containing HEPA filters for around $30,000, have improved our indoor air quality, and maintenance costs have been reduced. HEPA filters are replaced every 6 months, cost money, but need to be understood as part of your green operating expense and improved indoor air quality. Next slide, please. 3 years ago, we were using single wet mop buckets and string mops to clean our floors. We are spending $14,000 in string mops and around $3,000 in equipment replacement per year. Our new wet mop bucket system cost our department around $30,000. This change did not cost our district any money and used the savings from our other green programs to pay for the upfront cost of the new double bucket systems. Our previous cost of $18,000 is now new money available for our department to spend on other green programs. Another added benefit is we are experiencing a 35% reduction of our floor cleaner costs due to the double bucket system uses less cleaning chemical. Next slide, please. Purchase and replace the right size matting for entryways. Entrances are not one size fits all. Place outside scraper matting in proper traffic pattern for optimum performance. Use the highest grade recycled matting for entrance surfaces your budget can afford. Higher quality matting costs more, but you have to look at the longevity of the mats you select, reduction of contaminants brought in through your entryways, risk management, labor costs, floor protection, and indoor air quality costs. This is a very costly program, needs to be properly evaluated, and will take several years to complete. Next slide, please. It is important to communicate your green initiatives to your administration and board on a regular basis, outlining each improvement and savings you have achieved. You need to make sure all parties understand that some programs cost money up front to initiate with back-end savings. Don't forget about the impact of reducing waste for our future kids, impact of indoor air quality, and lower absenteeism rates. You need to justify all of your decisions and be able to back up your green program with facts. We were spending $9,500 in disposable cleaning cloths and cloth rags per year. We purchased enough microfiber cloths the first year for all buildings for around $8,000. This created a first-year savings of $1,500, and following 2 years, we have been able to use the $9,500 savings for other improvements. Paper towels, tissue, and soap has created over a $20,000 savings per year. Cleaning chemicals and floor products has created over a $27,000 savings per year. These savings were a balance of using public bids to achieve better pricing or accepting higher priced products that perform better, changing our floor finish application, and green cleaning procedures. These savings have been utilized to purchase our green programs that cost money up front, such as our new microfiber dust mop systems, microfiber wet mop systems, trash can improvements, floor matting, and other green programs we are continuing to implement. Next slide, please. Training of new products and programs must be ongoing, not just to implement the new, but to reinforce all of your previous green programs that have been in place for a period of time. We are constantly adjusting our goals as new products or programs come into the market, and you need to be able to reprioritize what is important in your future purchases or changes. Rewards are measurable, whether financial, reduction in waste, improved indoor air quality, better absenteeism rates, liability, and risk management. Financial sustainability can be realized in your green program. Districts that have moved towards a complete green program understand it's not hard, you just have to commit. It's up to each of you to analyze your existing programs, make the commitment, and move forward. Small steps are better than no step at all. We look forward to reporting our progress in the future, and thank you for your time to listen to what we're doing in Columbia, Missouri. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike. We really all appreciate the presentation and the great information, and I know there are going to be a lot of questions. Remember, after our next presenter, we are going to have a Q&A session, so if you have questions, feel free to put them into the chat box, or you can virtually raise your hand, and we will be taking people when they, as first come, first serve. All right, so I'm going to introduce very shortly our next speaker, Pat Pizzo. But before I do, I'm going to have one more poll question. And my question here is, what do you think is the biggest barrier to implementing a green cleaning program? The poll, I believe, is launched, and now I would ask to introduce Pat Pizzo. Pat Pizzo is currently the Director of Facilities and Operations for the East Meadow School District. The objective of the East Meadow School District is to provide a healthy and safe environment at fiscally responsible cost. And since 2008, Pat has led a department of 117 people in supporting this goal. East Meadow's Green Cleaning Program earned the Grand Award in the 2010 Green Clean Awards, and we are always happy to have Pat back presenting with us. Let me say I will close our poll, and I'm very happy to say what is the biggest barrier for implementing a green cleaning program? It looks like 64% said transitional challenges, which I would tend to agree with, and not a single person answered cost. So I am glad to see that. Now, having said that, I introduce Pat, and Pat, I will give the virtual gavel over to you. So thank you, Pat.
All right, thank you very much, Mark. Great to see that with the with people realizing that cost issue. Okay, I'll be speaking about savings which can be achieved through innovative procedures and energy efficiency. Next slide, please. Okay, methods that have a positive financial impact. Savings can be captured through use of new machines and more effective procedures. There are procedures and equipment which can eliminate the need for chemicals, procedures and equipment which reduce labor long term. There's also lighting products which will reduce consumption. There's also another benefit of new lighting products is they will reduce labor and by decreased maintenance cost long term. Next slide, please. Okay, while there are several possible ideas to explore, I'd like to expand on these ideas. Some of the cost savings through improved process equipment and technology are diamond pads, square pad scrubbers, ionized water, and LED lighting. Next slide, please. Okay, in regard to evaluating cost savings on diamond pads, these diamond pads are used on terrazzo floors. Okay, after all wax is initially removed from a terrazzo floor, the floor is polished by the use of a two-pad system. Okay, wax is not needed afterwards, which eliminates the use of stripper and wax long term. So there's a labor cost up front in using diamond pads, but year after year, it greatly reduces your labor cost. Another benefit of this is with the terrazzo floors handled this way, the appearance long term will continue that same shine that you have initially for a much longer period of time. Also, maintenance that's improved is when you have salt tracked into the building after snowfall, the floors are restored very, very easily, where with a wax floor you would have a long process. So you greatly reduce the amount of labor you're going to need to expend in maintaining the floor throughout the year. And you're really virtually eliminating the use of any kind of buffing, which is a big, big issue in regard to labor. Next slide, please. Next item I want to speak about is a square pad scrubber. Okay, a square pad scrubber is a machine which will remove wax without the use of stripper. Okay, this is a machine that would be used on a tile floor. The interesting thing about the use of a square pad scrubber is without using stripper, and it moves at about the same speed, so it doesn't really give any, there's not really any negative effect up front in that you could still remove wax at the same speed. But the cost of the machine you can recapture in roughly a year with a 100,000 square foot building because of the eliminating the purchase of stripper. So this is an excellent benefit in regard to that. There's also other benefits. You don't have nearly the slip hazards for your employees while they're doing the process of stripping the floors. You don't have the and to eliminate the chemicals in the building, I think is a big plus for anyone in the building, but definitely a very big plus for your people who are most closely in contact with these materials. Next slide, please. Some of the basics that I really want to go over is to evaluate cost savings in regard to procedures and strategies. Just some of the things that we've done here is we always will look at the product's life cycle. We'll look at paper towels and toilet paper. We're always looking for a product that is going to be made from recycled materials, and we have a product that we use here. But what's more important than, well, as important as that, is also having dispensers where you're going to utilize the entire amount of the product. If you get paper towel dispensers that feed one roll to the other, you completely exhaust all of the paper towels on the roll before you go to the next roll. So you won't have the dispensers run short, and also you're going to completely use the paper that's in the dispenser. You won't have any waste product that's left over. Hand soap we provide using touch-free foaming dispensers. We like the touch-free because it reduces the germ, surface-to-surface germs being transmitted from surface to surface. And also we use the foaming dispensers because the foam provides many, many additional washes to a non-foam product. Now, one of the drawbacks of using a touch-free dispenser is the batteries. And there are issues with batteries. So what we did is we found a battery that was made from recyclable material, and it utilizes a closed-loop process. And when at the end of this battery's life cycle, we get boxes shipped to us from the manufacturer, and we send the batteries back, which is incorporated into the cost. These batteries actually are virtually the same price as traditional batteries, and you don't have the issue of worrying about recycling the batteries at the end of their useful life. Next slide, please. Okay, some of the other items I'd like to speak about is LED lighting. We do a lot of we try to use LED lighting in several applications, and several of them have been in place for a long period of time and have really shown some excellent results. Exterior lights for wall packs reduce consumption and provide savings on utility costs. Okay, exterior LED lights reduce labor as they last almost 10 times as long as conventional lighting. I want to break down what these numbers mean. The traditional wall packs that we used here were high-pressure sodium bulbs. They were 175 watts. We've reduced this, the wattage to 40 watts on an LED fixture. Now that translates to a 77% decrease in the use of electricity for each fixture. And that's substantial when in New York we have these lights on for roughly 10 hours a night, 365 days a year. So there's a big savings on that. Another advantage in regard to labor is that the old high-pressure sodium fixtures that we use would last about 1.5 years. The LED bulbs should last at least 13.5 years, maybe as long as 15 years. So there's a big savings in labor where we don't have our electricians on bucket trucks or employees on ladders to switch these fixtures. once we put these fixtures up, we know they're going to be up there for a long period of time. Another advantage with LED lighting is that the light doesn't degrade. So if you'll notice with the high-pressure sodium, they yellow, and they're not putting out as much light. The LED light, it stays crisp throughout the light of the lifetime of the product. So that's a big advantage to us. A drawback that people are concerned about is the cost. But with now our using these fixtures, and I think other people now have come into this, we've been able to reduce the cost of the initial fixture to the point where we now are showing a 22-month payback, which has really made this viable. So we have these completely installed in our high school, and we've been undergoing a switch over throughout the rest of our district, and we've shown some promising results on that front. Next slide, please. Of course, I'd like to speak more about LED lighting because we want to look at other potential places where we can utilize this technology. One of the things that we've had to focus on here is the 400-watt lights on the poles in the parking lots. These are an application that up until recently weren't really, there really wasn't an effective LED light option. But we have recently piloted a LED light which is 120 watts, and that is a drastic savings in the amount of electricity that you would consume with these lights. And we have a pilot program underway now where we're doing this at one of our buildings where we have these fixtures going in. And we're showing, again, somewhere in the vicinity of a 3-year payback. These fixtures are still expensive, but with the efficiency savings, we're still showing that these fixtures will pay for themselves in 3 years. Some of the other applications for LED lighting, LED lighting is now, there are several different options for hi-hats, and we've actually had offices where we've installed LED fixtures and hi-hats, which decreased from a 100-watt incandescent bulb to a 12-watt LED bulb. So 88% efficiency savings. Also, it's dimmable, where if we would have made a sideways step to compact fluorescent bulbs, that wouldn't have been a viable option. So that is something that worked really well. It's a project that we did 2 years ago now, and these bulbs are still working in the same way they did before, and we're very confident they'll be able to produce what we had anticipated in regards to longevity. Now, another project that we've been looking at is LED bulbs for classroom lighting. Right now, conventional classroom lighting is usually 28 watts. You could also get high-efficiency T8 fixtures that are 25 watts. Some of the LED lighting that may eventually replace T8s is probably going to be somewhere about 14 watts. And this is beyond just the theoretical phase. I've actually had samples in my office, and it's not at the point now where it's ready to be rolled out to actually be done as part of a pilot program. But the technology, from what we've researched, it's getting very close. And within a couple of years, maybe 5 years or so, this may be a viable option. It's something to keep an eye on. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, what I want to look at also is what's next, and just speak in some general terms as to things that really to keep an eye on to look at to potentially capture savings. Solar, wind, geothermal, and gray water systems are areas that we're keeping a close eye on with the thought that we would like to move forward on these as these technologies become more readily available. The current solar technology is only 12 to 18% efficient, and that's about as far as it can go, which is good, and in several residential applications is an excellent idea. With us in our school system, it hasn't worked out for us in regard to what credits and rebates we're eligible for. With multi-junction solar technology, which is technology that will produce electricity from all bands of the light, so that you could actually increase efficiency to 30–40%, which makes solar technology a lot more viable. Another benefit of multi-junction technology is it would be a thin film application where it could go right over an existing roof, where you wouldn't need to have the concerns about fastening to a new roof or possibly fastening to a roof that will, within a period of time, need to be be changed. So really, with the current solar technology, that was a drawback from us as to piercing new roofs, or looking for an application where we were concerned that the roof was coming to the end of its useful life. So multi-junction is something which is close and something to definitely keep an eye on. We've looked at wind technologies. There are different types of wind turbines now. Some of the issues with wind currently is the height that you need to be able to produce electricity, and also the wind speed that goes along with that, which is the reason for the height. In many areas throughout the country, you're able to use wind power. If you were to look at wind maps, there's many places where this is applicable, and in Long Island in New York is one of the places where it's a possibility. But with new technology for wind power, with wind turbines that are more of a twisted spiral, it becomes a lot more viable. The reason why is you don't need to go quite as high as you would with a conventional wind turbine. And also, one of the issues with wind turbines is they can overspin, the vibration and the noise. With the newer type of wind turbines, they actually are designed so that they won't overspin, and they're a lot more quiet. And most importantly, they need a much less wind to be able to turn them. These new wind turbines, if they can produce what's promised, they're able to turn with wind speeds as low as 5 miles an hour, which makes it viable in a lot more areas. And also, you have to realize in areas where there are tall buildings, you have a natural updraft. And with some of these wind turbines, if they would be able to be spun at these low speeds, with proper placement, they would have a natural draft, which would keep them spinning. Geothermal is something that has been used in some schools here in Long Island, and that has a lot more potential, I believe, in the future, and is a great application for new buildings. Obviously, very difficult to do on existing buildings. Geothermal will use the constant temperature of the earth to be able to produce heating or cooling, which is something that is viable in many parts of the country. In gray water, conservation of water is a developing issue. Long term, there is going to be issues with water. That's something that there's a lot of literature out there about. But also from a financial standpoint, in Long Island, for instance, we have a sewer tax that has been implemented. So the way we're going to be taxed is the water that's metered coming into the building, we're going to have to pay 1 cent per every gallon coming in. So now with that issue, it makes water conservation all that much more of an issue, that we need to conserve water because it's an expense now. With the water we're coming in is really being taxed also as part of a new sewer tax. So anytime you can do a gray water system is really using water that you're looking to do something with anyway. We're here with the water from the roofs. We need to go and we don't put through the sewer system. We have a separate system for sewage and a separate system for the water that we have fall on our grounds. With this, you can put good use to the gray water system for use in toilets or for irrigation. So you have the financial impact, and you also have the use of this water that you need to deal with anyway. Next slide, please. Okay, what's next? Be ready. This is really what we've done with our team here. There are a lot of innovations, and they're moving rapidly. We continue to look at our program here in a comprehensive fashion to try to capture any kind of savings that may be available from any new innovations. The innovations that we've used, the square pad scrubber, the diamond pads, were all because we were willing to take the time and to innovate and to try to find new ways of doing things. There's a lot of things changing, and it just takes constant diligence to really stay on top of what's out there. And I'm fortunate to work in a district where we have an excellent team who's fully committed towards trying to get better and improve our system day to day. Thank you very much, and that's the end of my presentation.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Pat. We really appreciate all that wonderful information that you shared with us. And so now we're going to move on and take some questions from our participants. And so we've had a few questions come in, and feel free to send in your questions through that chat function on your control panel. So the first question is for Mike. Mike, when you said green chemicals may not perform how traditional ones perform, do you mean that they perform differently or perform worse?
They perform differently. You may have a conventional cleaning chemical that's got an MSDS rating of 3 in health, meaning it's fairly caustic. It is made to remove just about anything on your surface. And when you're dealing with green chemicals, you're using less harmful chemicals. And you also have to kind of look at changing your procedures a little bit. You can't, not all green chemicals, but some green chemicals you cannot do a spray and wipe. It may not remove the substance on a teacher's or on a student desk that you're used to removing right away. So that it kind of, you have to kind of change your cleaning procedures a little bit. As I mentioned, the spray and rotate. You know, our custodians go into the classroom, and the first thing they do is they spray, when they're sanitizing, for instance, they spray all of the tables first, and then they're doing other duties, and then after the 5 minutes we achieve our sanitizer, they go in and then clean the tables, and that removes about 95 to 98, sometimes 99% of anything that's on that surface. Does that answer your question, hopefully?
Yeah, great. Thank you for clarifying. And another question, which can go to either Pat or Mike. Many of the examples show paybacks in 2 to 3 year periods. Do you have any suggestions for how to get my principal on board, since I only do 1 year budgets?
Well,
okay, go ahead. No, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
Well, as I mentioned, our microfiber cleaning rags, a simple cleaning procedure to change. The payback was immediate. First year I saved $1,500. You're going to find that a lot of the changes, if you're changing your entire district's cleaning chemical, you're going to, I made a comment, we brought our first 7 buildings online. That created immediate savings because the savings in our products were less, and our procedures even created more savings. And then you're taking all of those cleaning chemicals from your first 7 buildings that have already been expensed out and giving them to your other buildings. So you have additional savings there until you transition and complete your entire district's green cleaning process. Go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, no, I would have to agree with you, Mike, in that if you're going to transition from one chemical to the next, that doesn't mean that you're going to stop using the other chemicals. You need to exhaust that. And if you were to move forward, like us with the LED lighting, we didn't go through and just change all the lights at once. These lights I mentioned, the old fixtures would only last a year and a half or so. So they as you would replace, you just replace with new. And as for only looking at 1 year, you know, it really you need to kind of look at it at a longer view of that. That's 1 year is a really tight turnaround. There's a residual benefit to these items after that payback. With LED and with microfiber, you're going to continue that benefit year and year and year going forward.
Great. Thanks so much for giving your input on that question. Another question, which can go to either panelist, is how have the speakers found green floor finish and green stripper?
Oh, yeah, I could speak to that. In that we use, I didn't mention that in my presentation today, but we switched over to green wax last year. We're completing the switch over in the district this year. This is how what you need to do with green wax. What's important to understand is you really have to change the process and how you apply it. If you just apply it as traditional wax is applied, it may not have the durability. But if you put it down in several thin coats and buff the earlier coats will make the water-based coats fuse to the floor and make like a sealer type finish. Then in future years, you don't need to strip all the way down because you have that sealer coat, and because the green wax doesn't contain styrene, which is the product that makes wax yellow, without the styrene, the floors will actually look better for longer. You just need to make sure that you apply it correctly so that you have that durability.
Great.
I'll just completely agree with Pat on that. It is how you apply your floor finish, and there's a lot of great products out there, that bag units that you can apply. The thinner the coat, the better, and that's what you need to do with green finish. And we've been using green finish for 3+ years and are about 50% through our district with green on all of our floors. And we have been very, very happy with our green finish, and think actually we think it outperforms our conventional wax and sealers that we used in the past.
I agree. Yeah.
Great. That's really interesting from both of you. I have a question from Mike. Mike, the microfiber towels you mentioned, how long do they last, and do you have to wash them? If so, do you measure the cost of laundering the cloth?
We started that program 3 years ago, have not had to replace any yet. You need to understand microfiber will at some point start to, if you rub your hand on the microfiber, it kind of pulls. When you start to lose that, it loses its ability to absorb and hold dirt. So we haven't had to over 3 years yet, but I'm sure I've heard districts that maybe replace 10% a year after the 3rd through the 5th year. Washing, we use the majority. Yes, you do have to wash microfiber. You can rinse it, but you have to run it through a washing machine using phosphate-free laundry detergent. And we utilize the washer and dryer units in our district buildings. And we also, for those buildings that do not have laundry facilities, we actually use our warehouse to pick those up when we are delivering supplies. So we bring them new, clean microfibers and pick up their old and recycle it through our laundry facility here at our warehouse.
Great, thanks, Mike. Another question is, can you explain why most green chemicals use cold water versus hot water for cleaning?
I can explain ours because we use a hydrogen peroxide-based cleaner, but I just think all green cleaning chemicals that manufacturers, if they are truly green, one part of being green is conserving energy, which is using cold water. So most of them are made to be used with cold water. We use a hydrogen peroxide-based product, and if you mix that through your dispenser with hot water, it releases some of the characteristics in the hydrogen peroxide and makes them a little less effective. And it's probably really all cleaning chemicals that do that, because if you read on the manufacturer label of all cleaning chemicals, it talks about store only in certain temperatures, because it's going to denigrate the cleaning chemical even in full concentrate over a period of time.
Great, thanks. And this one is for either Mike or Pat. Are either of you using charged ionized water in cleaning?
Yeah, let me speak to that. I didn't get into that too much. We use ionized water here in spray dispensers, and what we found is that it's an approved sanitizer in the New York State OGS list. But what we use it is the least aggressive step on our program, and it's an excellent, excellent glass cleaner. It's without the chemical and without the dyes. You actually get a streak-free window. So it works excellent for windows. That's one application. Like I said, it is a sanitizer, can be used for desktops, things like that. But also we have been using it in the hallways of our elementary schools on scrubbers for the hallways. And what we do is, because of our diamond pad system where we've eliminated chemicals in the floors and the hallways, this kind of dovetailed with that we use ionized water for that as well, to completely keep chemicals out of the environment in the hallways. So that's we thought that was a benefit to put that with the diamond pad program.
Alex, I'll just add, I have 12 ionized units that I just purchased, and we're setting up 4 to 5 test sites this year. And to test them ourselves, I've been aware of the ionators for a period of time, and we're ready to move forward with them, and we're going to use them to clean all of our above surface tables, desks, everything with the ionator. So we're in the process of looking into that technology, and we'll be testing it this school year.
Great, thanks. We're going to take one more question, and this question is for Pat. What type of diamond pads are you using?
There's several different types on the market. There's you could really get them. I don't know. Can I say distributor names?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Grainger actually carries a line of pads. We actually originally they were brought to us by Grainger. So if you called up Grainger, you can get it through there. But there are also different systems that have finer grits. There are systems that will have multiple pads. The system we have is a 2-pad 3M system. We kept it with that. But like I said, there are others, and there are also some that work in conjunction with chemicals, which we stayed away from. I would say the better method would be staying with the 3M system or some system similar to that.
Great, thanks, Pat. So I think we're going to wrap up. Thank you, everybody, for participating in this webinar, and thank you once again to our panelists for sharing wonderful information, and also to Procter & Gamble Professional for sponsoring this webinar.
Thank you very much. Just so everyone knows, our webinar is going to be archived on our website. You will receive communication from us later this week with a link to it so you can share it with all your friends. So if you have any questions, please feel free to send us an email, send us a tweet, send us something on Facebook. We'll be very happy to respond as quickly as we can. So thank you all. Have a wonderful afternoon, and take care, and have a clean and green afternoon. Bye-bye.